right, and good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, it's over there. Damn it, I got everything else right. Oh, right here. There.
Just don't unplug it.
Okay, and I can see the levels, so we have audio.
So it's not been unplugged.
Can you hear me, Steve? Hey, Steve. Can you hear me? So what's going on this morning, brother?
Well, let's see. These trials are going on. The stuff with the McMichaels and Ahmaud Arbery is also going on, but that one's a little muddier. And
you're not hearing anything about it in the press.
Well, I am.
If you go looking for it, there is coverage, but it is not.
It's being covered locally because it's a local story, but it just doesn't have the juice with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing is a fascinating story. Like, even if you're somebody that's not into politics or whatever, 17-year-old kid shoots looters in the middle of, like, the summer of burning love is...
See, here's the thing. With the Arbery case, what you have is undeniable. 2 white men killed a black man. That is a fact. The thing that is in question is whether or not they were justified in doing so. That it is an undeniable fact that 2 white men killed a black man, and it is not national news. That right there should be all you need to know, that there's a good chance that the McMichaels are found to have been completely justified in this case. Now, it may not go that way. There's a lot of politics in that case. I mean, let's be fair. What happened to the McMichaels? They were attacked by a violent criminal with a long record of violent criminal activity, who tried to wrestle a gun away from one of them, and got a bread basket full of buckshot for his trouble. So if there were a high probability that they were going to be convicted, if the evidence didn't look so bad for the case carrying against them, this would be national news. And let's not forget that we had several DAs recuse themselves after being threatened and harassed by BLM protesters and activists. And basically, BLM showed up, protested, and activated until they found a DA who was racially motivated to take the case, because several before her said, no, this is a clear-cut case of justified self-defense. So it's not being covered nationally because it doesn't fit the narrative. And Ahmaud Arbery is just another example. All your martyrs are monsters. St. Floyd of Fentanyl was a monster.
Golly. And he has statues. Look, I only brought it up because it's one of the things that's going on. I do apologize. I was not trying to rabbit hole you. So this is me bringing us back to the Rittenhouse and Grosskreutz, and, like, what a name. No wonder that guy ended up being an Antifa fuck. Like, it just...
Yeah, I mean, he's trash. Now, we're gonna open on this here. So the basic premise today, the thing that I want to talk about, is how Grosskreutz is being covered, the canonization of monsters. Grosskreutz. Okay, so we have this from CBS News. Lone survivor shot by Kyle Rittenhouse at Kenosha protests says he thought he was going to die. Okay.
Boy, that's priming the pump.
Let me clear something up for you real quick. There were thousands of violent criminals at the Kenosha riots. Okay, this lone survivor, this is a lie. Now, he was one of the only 3 people who would, of the 3 people who were shot, right? Those 3 people did not include all of the people who were trying to murder poor Rittenhouse that evening. Right? We have video coverage of at least 3 other people who physically attacked him, right, at least one of them with a clearly deadly weapon, apart from Grosskreutz. Right? So this lone survivor, even if you discount all the other rioters that were around who were actively engaged in just chasing Rittenhouse and screaming, kill him, kill him, you've got at least 3 other people who were not shot by Rittenhouse, even though they physically attacked him. One of them shoving him to the ground, putting him in the strategically disadvantageous position where he was when Grosskreutz approached him with a loaded firearm and attempted to murder him before Rittenhouse, with no other option available, took an incredibly clean, high marksmanship skill shot and eliminated a clear and imminent threat to his own life. Right? So,
well, just this headline, okay? Viva,
that's what we're working on.
Yeah, Viva covered a lot of this in one of his most recent videos, where if you just look at and boy, and he goes in hard on CNN and Brian Stelter too. It's fantastic. But just this headline in and of itself, you would think if you knew nothing about this and you read this headline in a vacuum, you would think that Kyle Rittenhouse is the bad guy, right?
Right.
You know, he went on a rampage and somehow this one guy miraculously survived because he got shot in the arm instead of the chest. But that's not exactly what happened. Turns out there's just a little bit more to the story.
Yeah.
In fact, so much more to the story, one could say that the headline is deceptive. What's the phrase? You lies.
It's a lie.
Lies by omission? That's what it is. Lies by omission.
Yeah, because let's not forget, before Kyle ever fired a shot, somebody else fired a shot. Right there. Somebody else fired a shot behind Rittenhouse's back. And that is likely a large part of what precipitated Kyle firing to begin with, when, as according to video evidence and witness testimony, Rosenbaum lunged for and attempted to take Rittenhouse's gun from him after having told Rittenhouse explicitly that he intended to kill him if he found him alone anywhere.
Right.
There's multiple witness testimony and, video evidence that before Rosenbaum chased Rittenhouse and attempted to take his weapon, he told Rittenhouse and several other people, if I see any of you alone, I will kill you.
Hey, let me just ask you a question. If you're armed in a high-stress environment and I say, fuck you at the top of my lungs and lunge at you, you're going to interpret me as a...
I will shoot you when you finish the sentence. You will not have lunged.
So you're going to interpret me as a threat?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just to be clear. Because that's what one of the guys who got a bad case of the getting deads did to Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, I know, but I wanted to make the alliterative joke about a guy who got the bad case of getting the deads.
Yeah, and I would serve him a delicate salad of Mozambique.
So I'm going to scroll this down because I'm really curious, and we're going to come back around to it just to fill in the gaps. So I just want to see how they wrote it up. A paramedic, oh wow, look at that right there. A paramedic who was shot by Kyle Rittenhouse at a police brutality protest in August 2020. Jesus, at a fiery but mostly peaceful protest about police brutality. They were protesting the brutality of the police that shot the convicted sex offender who was attempting to kidnap children and pulled a knife on the cops.
Right.
That police brutality.
And let's be clear, it's Jacob Blake, right?
Blake.
He was not a convicted sex offender. He wasn't one of these that just accidentally ended up on the sex offender registry because he turned 18 before his girlfriend, right? This guy raped his significant other, and when he was shot several times by the police, he was grabbing a knife from the car in which he had the children he was in the midst of kidnapping.
While violating a temporary protective order.
Yep.
Okay.
And to be clear, the car that he was using to kidnap these children, he was in the act of stealing from the girlfriend who had the temporary restraining order as a result of his previous rape conviction on her.
Yes. So
that's the conviction was on him for raping her.
So that's the that's the police brutality that they were protesting.
Yes.
The stopping of the children from being stolen with anyhow. At a police brutality protest, August 2020 testified Monday about his tense confrontation with the teenager before taking a bullet in the arm. Jurors watched footage of the moment Rittenhouse shot Gaige Grosskreutz at close range. Can we just call him GG? At close range with an AR-15 style weapon. What was going through your mind at that particular instant? Prosecutor Thomas Binger asked. That I was going to die, Gigi said. He lost 90% of his bicep, and he's lucky that that's all he lost. Gigi, a professionally trained medic, Jesus, treated nearly a dozen protesters that night. I wonder why he needed to treat protesters if it was a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. He said he heard gunshots and ran toward them. I thought the defendant was an active shooter, he said in the court Monday. Boy, and they found just the right picture of him, too. Oh, you poor baby. For the first time, the jury was shown a drone video of when Rittenhouse shot and killed Rosenbaum.
Real quick, that's the drone video from the FBI that was suppressed.
That they deleted.
That they told the defense that they lost, right? Because the FBI is complicit in the anti-American narrative of white supremacy and actively working against the interests of American citizens, because the FBI committed the crime of spoliation by attempting to withhold exculpatory evidence in a high-profile murder trial because it is politically convenient to their Democrat National Committee masters and the current administration.
Okay, so a crowd chased and confronted Rittenhouse as he fled that scene, where Rittenhouse then shot and killed another protester, Anthony Huber, before wounding Gigi. Rittenhouse claims he was acting in self-defense. His attorney, Corey, questioned Gigi's actions leading to the shooting. You were standing 3 to 5 feet away from him. It wasn't until you advanced on him with your hands down, pointing the gun at him, that he fired, right? Boy, it's interesting that they tucked that line in several. I wondered if they were even going to get to the fact that, yes, Gigi was armed and was advancing on Kyle Rittenhouse with a weapon. And that's going to come back around. In the business, we refer to that as foreshadowing. Joe Tamburino, a defense attorney who isn't connected to the case, said both sides are leaning heavily on Gigi's testimony. Well, I would if I was on the defense. When you have a witness on the stand who almost died, they can be a very powerful witness on either side.
Yeah, real quick. When you have a witness on the stand who attempted murder, because let's be real crystal on this. What Grosskreutz obviously is, by the video evidence and his own testimony under oath in this trial, is a failed attempted murderer. He, with malice of forethought, attempted to cause the death by his own hand of Kyle Rittenhouse with a weapon he was illegally in possession of. And I'll shore up that claim in just a minute.
So the prosecution said they'll rest their case on Tuesday. The defense has indicated Rittenhouse may take the stand himself, and that could be in the next few days. Kyle, please don't take the stand. Don't. Okay? I get it. We all want to talk about how we're innocent and how there's two sides to every story, but don't do that, my brother. Don't do that. You look like you're going to walk away from this one, and a first-year law student can destroy you on cross-examination. That is the reason why you have the Fifth Amendment. Innocent people talk themselves into crime, and guilty people talk themselves out of crime. It's not fair, but it's a thing that happens, so don't take the stand, my dude.
You know what? Let's
let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time of the shooting, was charged as an adult with 2 counts of first-degree homicide and 1 count of attempted homicide. He also faces charges of recklessly endangering the safety of 2 other victims, possessing a weapon while under the age of 18, and violating curfew. Rittenhouse has pleaded not guilty to all charges. So, boy, there's that one line about him firing a gun, and there's nothing else about Gaige carrying a gun, and there is nothing else at all mentioned about that. Which
right, they didn't mention the testimony of Gigi's friend, who said that Gaige has said that his only regret is that he didn't empty his magazine and kill Rittenhouse at the time. So I'm gonna pop over to the New York Post real quick, and these guys generally do an okay job, but they still use the language "lone shooting survivor takes stand in Rittenhouse trial," right? Which just
you go to right here at this first sentence: the lone survivor allegedly shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. No, it's not allegedly.
No, we saw him shot.
Rittenhouse doesn't even deny that he shot these people. He says it's in self-defense. Allegedly. You know how sometimes people use big words and complex phrases to sound more intelligent than they actually are because they're in mixed company or they're trying to impress an obvious audience? That is what that first sentence is. It's the New York Post trying to sound smart. Allegedly. No, you're right. It's been alleged, and everybody agrees to it.
And right here it says, a trained medic who had provided aid at around 75 protests denied that he was trying to kill Rittenhouse. Right? Now, let me, because now I can't remember which one it was. Because I've got several articles pulled up on this.
Uh-oh. Dead air.
Well, talk about something then.
I am talking about... actually, so there's a comment that I want to go back to.
Okay, go for it.
Star VH3F. I'm going to have to go back and think about what your name means. I'm sure it's brilliant, and I'm just not getting the pun. Gaige was taking cues from his comrades in the audience. That's why his testimony was so contradictory of itself. They want Kyle to get off in order to riot again. I don't know that I would agree that that is a plan, but I would agree that given the nature of the left, that is at least a possibility. It could be a contingency plan, I think.
They're going to riot either way.
Which is likely. It's going to be a soccer riot. We're rioting. Why? Because we won. We're rioting. Why? Because we lost.
Yeah, the left is going to continue to engage in violent rioting until something really nasty happens. And
you mean like this?
No. This is tip of the iceberg stuff.
In a sane world, this would be the end of the riots. Everybody would wake up and go, oh, yeah, that's why mobs of people don't go around setting things on fire.
You're correct. In a world where mobs of people don't go around setting things on fire, this would be the thing that would stop them from having done that if they were...
there's the media coverage of it. If this was covered correctly, and we've said before that there's a lot of room to criticize Rittenhouse. He was probably a teenage boy with a bit of a hero complex that got in over his head. But that doesn't mean that he's a murderer, okay? It's dumb to go to the frat house by yourself in sexy underwear and get drunk. But that doesn't make it okay for the frat boys to rape you.
Correct.
Right? Both things can be true at the same time. All right? So, in order to transition over to the stuff that's been left out of all these articles, can we please give a shout out to Polytech and play Alex's fantastic video?
Okay, and actually, I haven't seen this yet, so I'm going to share this with you guys. But please do go over and give Polytech a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. They're doing a fantastic job over there.
That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to this for you guys in the chat. Go over and give this video a like and a watch for it.
Is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct? Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized, yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
Oh, the look on the stenographer's face right there, that was perfect. Oh, Alex, I hate that you're not watching us watching you. Oh, Alex, that cut was solid. Solid gold.
Ah, that was indeed a slice of fried gold. So yeah, turns out that Rittenhouse did everything that he could do to not have to shoot and kill people, and it was only after Buddy advanced on him with a loaded firearm, and there's some question as to whether or not he's a convicted felon. Now, putting aside the fact that a convicted felon never being allowed to own a firearm again is kind of questionable with regard to the Second Amendment.
Yeah,
there's
some constitutionality concerns there, and
it is currently illegal for a convicted felon
right.
to have a concealed firearm.
Now, as near as I can tell in the fact check, it is. Oh, hey, Alex is with us. Hey, brother, you nailed it on that. Thanks.
Yeah, I saw that last night and was like, "Oh man, we're playing that on our show."
I feel relatively confident that you won't come after us with a copyright strike, and if you do, by the way, I win a lot of those. So, love you, sugar. The Grosskreutz being a felon, he was arrested and charged with felony burglary.
Also, apparently, with
several
threatening
years
to stab
ago.
his brother over a house cleaning issue.
Right, and it is unclear as to whether or not he was ever convicted on that. It is, however, not unclear that he was arrested again on a probation violation after those charges. So I'm not sure if maybe he pled down to a lesser charge to get probation instead of a jail sentence. It is surprisingly difficult to run down additional facts on that. And I wonder, I wonder if there's any corruption and manipulation going on there to obfuscate that he is a felon, if in fact he is. But even if he is not a convicted felon, he admitted in his testimony that he was carrying that firearm concealed in a state that requires a concealed firearm permit, and he doesn't have one. He had one at some point, but it's expired, and that was part of his testimony. So even if the felon thing is not the case, his carrying that firearm, as much as I think that the law being such is an absolute affront to the Constitution, the fact is that is the law, and he was breaking it by having that gun in the way that he had it.
Well, here's why that's relevant, though. You have a pattern of criminal activity out of GG. And that's the thing. We're not talking about somebody that snapped and had a bad day. We're not talking about somebody that got caught up in some scam and acted out of fear or whatever. We're talking about somebody that over a period of time has committed multiple offenses and is affiliated with but doesn't belong to radical anarcho-communist groups. And so when you start to roll all those things together and you realize this guy has no regard for rule of law, generally, that's when this becomes important. Also, Chris hit me with this morning. I didn't know this. He was arrested for DUI earlier this year, and the charges were dropped.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a thing, which is just kind of weird. But it turns out, and here's like...
Yeah, real quick, what you're talking about there, it's widely and false. This says, and this is from heavy.com, so, I mean, this is a biased source. But heavy.com says it was widely and falsely reported on social media that Gaige Grosskreutz is a felon and thus was not legally entitled to possess a firearm. This is false. He is not a felon. I'm gonna have to ask you to fact check that, Heavy. I don't think you can prove that claim. He does, however, have a prior misdemeanor conviction for intoxicated use of a firearm in Wisconsin. Online records show he received probation in that 2015 case, records reveal. In January 2021, he was accused of second offense drunk driving, but the case was dismissed on a prosecutor's motion.
Which means this
it
was
says
not
a prosecutor's motion. I wonder if it was this prosecutor's motion.
Yeah. Well...
It's like, no, guys, I can't have my key witness being locked up on DUI right now.
Yes. I mean, yeah, something like that. Okay, so, and here's the big thing, right? Here's what brings it all home, okay? Gigi is suing. And he's suing everybody. He's suing the state. He's suing the city. He's suing the police department. He's suing for $10 million. And in his lawsuit, he neglected to mention that he was armed.
Isn't that funny?
That is awful funny.
Now, what is he suing them for?
Oh, it's everybody else's fault that he got shot.
You know, that's going to be funny. That's going to be funny. He's going to get in a courtroom with that, and Gonzalez versus Castle Rock is going to slap him in the face.
Okay.
The police do not have a duty to defend or interfere.
Look, yes,
okay. The Supreme Court has said you cannot sue the police for failing to prevent you from being a victim of crime.
Okay, fair enough, but that's not at all where I thought we were going to...
And children were murdered in that case.
That's not at all where I thought we were going to go with it. I thought we were going to go with the fact that, oh yeah, he was armed. And he left it out of his lawsuit.
He did indeed.
It's almost like Gigi has a conflict of interest. In fact, it's almost like he's a self-entitled, spoiled brat who's okay with seeing the system collapse and will just lie to get what he wants.
And he's an active member of the People's Revolution, which is the more radical offshoot of BLM.
Yeah.
This guy is a no shit, dyed in the wool, hardcore commie activist.
Yeah, he's a Marxist.
He's a Marxist revolutionary, and like all Marxist revolutionaries, he is a violent Marxist revolutionary. And they're trying to paint him as, to canonize him. You know, he's another martyr for the cause. Well, just like all your other martyrs, he's a monster.
This one just happens to be a white Dendu, not a black Dendu.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only real difference here. And look, it helps his case if Rittenhouse is convicted of murder. He's more likely to get a favorable settlement from the government. So he's got a financial interest in Rittenhouse going to jail. Man, that's a little spooky and evil. Also, definitely evil. But just the whole conflict of interest in and of itself should cast major doubt on things. And then when you couple that with the fact that, he lied, and then that just disastrous testimony where he admitted, oh yeah, I totally got shot only after I pointed my gun at Rittenhouse. It's like, well, okay, that's, don't point your gun at people. And that's one of the things guys like us, like on Firearm Friday, have talked about a lot. Like, you don't point your gun at people.
Right.
It's a thing. Our chat is being punny.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I see. I want to do this before we wrap it up. Just Look at this douchebag. Pennies to pesos, he's hiding a bitch biscuit under that ball cap.
Maybe. Maybe. And look, paramedic. Forget the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse.
Tell man.
Look, it's, caller, you're on the air.
We tried that once, didn't work out great. We'll get back to it eventually.
Man, it's usually you that fails with the phone.
I haven't failed with the phone in a long time because I set a scheduled do not disturb setting. So it just, at 7:20 every morning, it goes on do not disturb and it stays there until 8:30.
Fair enough.
I automated that bitch. No, it's Martin TV. I don't want to be famous for money. Take your shit and suck my banhammer.
Actually, I do want to be famous for money.
Well, yes, I want to get money for being famous.
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
But I'm not going to give you nothing.
Anyhow,
although we do appreciate, this is interesting. Did we just get thrown off the internet?
I hope not.
All of a sudden, Restream says we're offline. Okay, no. For a minute there, I thought shit got squirrely.
Anyhow, I suppose there's a few more angles we could chew into, but we're at 8 o'clock and,
I'm almost out of coffee.
I'm almost out of coffee.
Java, Joe. All right, you guys be safe out there. Tomorrow is Thursday. Let's hope we get a win somewhere today. And we will see you in the morning. Be safe. Just Sean, you're late.